So good evening, teacher. My name is Nguon Soksambath, and I'm gonna present about the summary of the chapter. So from chapter 1 until the chapter 9. So let's talk about the chapter 9. Chapter 1 first, the nature of communications. Sorry. The nature of communication. So communication is the behavior that affects the behavior of others by the transmission of information. And a code. So a code is a complex pattern of associations of the unit of the communication system. So in language, those units could be sound unit, meaningful units such as words, or meaningful units that are larger than words, or such as phrases, clauses, and sentences. So language in its narrowest sense is, for most linguists, a uniquely human connected system used to produce and understand precise, meaningful utterance. So those we have to study about the key important keywords in order to make us understand about the full lessons. So the utterance is the stretch of speech between two periods of silence of a potential silence. An utterance does not have to be a complete sentence. So to encode is to put a message into code. Humans have a genetic potential to learn to encode their messages by acquiring the rules, a grammar, or their language. Grammar is a system or elements such as words and of the rule of phonology, morphology, syntax, and semantic inherent in a language. The terms grammar also refer to the study of these elements and rules. Then communication occur if the receiver then decode the message that is sent. So to decode a message, it means to react in a way that reflects a reason the message was encoded. There are several levels of grammar that must be acquired. So acquiring a language involves acquiring the phonological system of the language, what sounds are used and how they are related to each other. The phonological system of a language is the grammar of the sound of that language. A lexicon. Lexicon is the mental dictionary, the vocabulary that one has stored in the brain. So morphological rules are the rules that are used to construct the words from their component parts. So syntax is a set of the rule of the person that used to form units of language larger than words. The term syntax also refers to the study of those rules. Semantic is the study of meaning. So linguistic competence is the subconscious knowledge of language that allow a speaker to create a potentially infinite number of messages. So let's talk about the productivity first. Productivity is the ability to produce messages that one has never produced before and to understand messages that one has never heard or seen before. So linguistic performance is the application of linguistic competence to actually producing an utterance. A delivery system of a language is a way in which the knowledge of language is used to send a message. The three basic ways of delivering a message linguistically are speech, writing, and sign language. So verbal means language, speak, writing, or sign language. Non-verbal means not language. Non-verbal communication is any communication that is not conveyed through speech, writing, or sign language. Synchrony is the connection and relationship between the two or more things that occur at the same time of linguistic messages with non-verbal messages. As people talk, their body moves to punctuate what they are saying and sometimes to contract what they are saying. Let's talk about non-human and human communication compare. So the dance of honeybees. Arouses the bee, the dance or inside the hive. So honeybee can communicate the directions, distance, and the quality of the food sources to members of their hive through elaborate dances. And the vocalization of birds, like it shows danger lurks all around for birds. And calls and song of the bird also show different functions like warning, attraction, or alert. Let's talk about Alex. Alex is a parrot. So Alex, they could use the words. So he had learned to coin new words and to pronounce words somewhat differently, and they are by humans. So humans taught parrot to speak and they can pronounce it. But for instance, parrots do not have lips, so Alex could not produce like b, p, or m sound that are actually a part that made by both lips together. So it cannot make it. And Alex was capable of thinking, which include reasoning and making calculated choice among alternatives. So can our closest relative in the animal kingdom, the apes, learn language? So some researchers are convinced that they can. The washoe, popo, and other apes have learned language and use various non-oral systems to display their linguistic competence. Others say that this conclusion is unjustified. So they believe that the research design and conclusion of the apes language researchers are not valid. Let's talk about the chapter 2, the phonological component or the phonetic. So articulatory phonetic or the apparatus of speech. So articulatory phonetic is the study of the production of the speech of sounds. Unlike auditory phonetic, articulatory phonetic deal with the sender rather than the receiver of the message. Ingressive sound are the speech sounds that are produced by sucking air into the mouth, and ingressive sound are the sounds that are produced by expelling air from the lungs. And the articulator are the organ of speech. The tracheus or the windpipe is the tube that extends from the voice box to the lungs. So the larynx is the uppermost part of the tracheus that contain vocal cords, and folds that is one of the main sound-producing organs. Vocal fold or vocal cords as a muscular pair of elastic fold, which can be moved into various degrees of openness. And a glottis is the space between the vocal fold. Actually, this we have to understand about the way that we produce the sound. So where is our vocal cord and where is called larynx, etc. Okay, so let's talk about the articulatory phonetics. So breathing in speech. So we can maintain a continual flow of conversation only when exhaling air from the lungs. So voice sound produced in part by a vibration of vocal fold. So if you generally place a finger in front of your neck, the level of the larynx, and its normal voice say along. So it's how we produce the sound and how we pronounce that sound correctly. Like V sound, which can be written V. So you will notice a variation coming from your larynx. It's the way that we can notice our pronunciations and knowing how we can produce the word correctly. Like this sounds like shed, saw, mission, facial, nation, fish, us. So we can know how we pronounce it and how we can use our vocal cord or use our larynx and know where to produce it effectively. Let's talk about in chapter 3. We talk about the phonological component of phonology. Okay, so the phoneme and the concept of significant difference in sound. Phonology is the study of the sound system of the language. That is, what sounds are in the language and what rules are for combining those sounds into largest units. So phonology can also refer to the study of the sound system of all languages, including universal rules of sound. And a phone, or we can say a phonetic unit or segment, is an actual speech sound produced by a vocal tract that is perceived as an individual and unique sound, different from other such sounds. A phoneme is a perceived unit of the language that signals are different in meaning when contracted into another phoneme. So the phoneme is mental constructed rather than a physical unit. Yeah, so see, we can understand about the phoneme and also its component as well. So in linguistics, the term distinctive refer to units that contract, that is charge meaning when substituted for each other. So phoneme are distinctive, allophones are not. So let's talk about the chapter 4, the phonological component. So what is phonology? So phonology is the study of sound system or language. Phoneme is the minimal unit of phonology. So morphology is the study of the structure and classification of words and the unit that make up words. So morpheme are the smallest unit of meaning. This means that morpheme cannot be broken down further and remain meaningful. So morpheme is a meaningful linguistic unit consists of a word such as the cat or word elements like as ed, walked, and cannot be divided into smaller meaningful parts. So cat is a word, so is cat. Yet is one phoneme and cast is two. The S is a morpheme, but it is definitely not a word. So we can see that cast, it has two morphemes. So one is cat and one is S. S is also a morpheme. So type of morpheme. There are two types of morpheme, free morpheme and bond morpheme. So let's talk about free morpheme. So free morpheme are the morpheme that can stand by themselves as a single word. Like free morpheme may also call root, but not always. Example like work, walk, care, prepare, read, and other vocabulary. So it's called free morpheme because it can stand alone and it has a meaningful. So bond morpheme is a meaningful grammatical unit that cannot occur alone. So words that can be built by adding morpheme to the roots, like added bond morpheme are called affix. Affix added before a root are called prefix, and those added after the root are suffix, and the s in cast is a suffix. Example like er, or, ses, or edis, or less and inged as called suffix. So type of bond morpheme. Derivational morpheme are bond morpheme that change the meaning or lexical category of the word, like good, good plus ness, goodness, and care and noun. And list of derivational morpheme conclude suffix like ish, Leslie, etc. So it's called suffix, and prefix like re, pre, and ex, miss, co, etc. So it's called prefix. And so bond morpheme, so suffix and prefix is also called the derivational morphemes. So inflectional morpheme. Inflectional morpheme are bond morpheme that are not change the essential meaning or lexical category of a word. So they change grammatical function or other than lexical category. So there are only 9 inflectional morpheme in English, and they are all suffix in the list below, like as, aperture s, called positive, the third person present singular s, er comparative, iest superlative, ing the progressive, ed the past tense, and the past participle. So it's called it's called the inflectional bond morpheme. Like pens, Andrew car, he comes home. So as picture as, so those are the inflectional bond morpheme when we say them. Okay, so we call allomorph. So an allomorph is a variation of a morpheme. The concept occurs when a unit meaning can vary in the sound phonologically without explaining or without changing meaning. And it is used in linguistics to explain the comprehension of variation in sound for the specific morpheme. So for instance, the meaning more than one, which is usually expressed as the suffix as in English, can actually be pronounced 3 different ways, like as in math, that as in Zeus, or as in churches, like as that and es is are said to be allomorph of the plural morpheme as. See, so the meaning of S is more than one. It can be as like math, or can be that like Zeus, or can be as like churches. So it has the it has the plurals morpheme as. So it's called allomorph. So morphological typology. Typology is a branch of linguistics that study the structural similarity of the language. So morphological typology is the study and classification of the language based on how morphemes create words. So one type of language is called analytic. Um, every word would be a single free morpheme. Example, he ate the meal. And in this example, each morpheme represents one meaning. So there are no inflectional or derivational bond morpheme. Okay. And the second type of language called a synthetic language, which use bound morpheme to affect the meaning of or mark the grammatical function of the free morpheme. So synthetic language has three types. One, a fusal language. A fusal language, also called inflectional language, is one type of synthetic language in which one bond morpheme may convey several bits of information. So an aggregating language is a type of synthetic language in which X bond morpheme add only one specific meaning to the root morpheme. So a polysynthetic language is a synthetic language in which each word is the equivalent to a whole sentence to the other language. So how new words are found? So compounding. Compounding is create a word with more than one root. Example, cross-trainer, veggie burger, and mallet. So acronym formation. Acronyms are the words that are formed from the least letter or letters of more than one word, like NASA, National Aeronautic and Space Administrations. Foreign words borrowing. So cosmopolitan cultures like words is always coming into contact with others' culture. So words might be borrowing. Example, chauffeur in France are spelled the same in English. Clipping. Clipping is the leading section of the word created shortened form. Example, like sat is come from statistic. Fan is come from fantastic. So blending. Blending is the process of taking two or more words, clipping part of one or more of the word, and then combining them. Like a blend in is a word that is a result of the process of blending. Example, like carjacking is come from car plus hijacking. Email it come from electronic plus mail. And sitcom it's come from situations plus comedy. Derivation. Derivation is the process of forming a new word by adding a derivational effect to a word. So numerous effects in English can be used in this productive way, like OE, and this, in, pre, anti, saply, next, or easy, action, able, full. So back formation. Back formation is used to form a new word through the process of analogy by removing an effect or what appears to be an effect from that word. So analogy is the process by which one form of the word is used as the model of constructing another word or structure. Example, like donate from donation, edit from editor. In eponym is people's name are the words that form from people's name. Examples, name of the place, Washington from Washington, District of Columbia from Christopher Columbus. So trade name, the new words that are invented to label new products. Sometimes the word is from the basic of process we have already discussed. Example, like a Ford is a car named from Henry Ford. Chapter 5, syntax. So syntax is the word of the grammar that specifically refer to the arrangement of the words and morpheme in the construction of sentences. So descriptive syntax or descriptive grammar refer to the mostly subconsistent rule of the grammar that one used to combine smaller units into sentences. The term also refer to the study of this rule. So prescriptive syntax or prescriptive grammar are the terms imply refer to the concept that is the correct or an incorrect way to speak, write, or sign. Transformational or generative grammar is a model of syntax that include a finite set of rules that could hypothetically produce an infinite number of utterances. Syntax construction and type of string syntax structure. So a sentence is a string in the string of words that is grammatically complete with at least two components, a subject and a predicate. So constituent are the unit being combined to create larger syntactic construction. The subject of the sentence is the topic of the sentence. The predicate of a sentence is a traditional grammar, is a common or assertion that made about the topic. So in most modern grammar, the predicate is seen as an element that assigns a property to another element in a sentence that have to relate other elements to each other, thereby completing the meaning of the predicate. And argument are necessary element of a sentence used to complete the meaning of the predicate also. A simple sentence is a sentence with one subject and one predicate. Compound sentence is made up of at least two simple sentences joined by a coordinating conjunctions. In writing, punctuation can substitute. An independent clause is a simple sentence. A dependent clause has a subject and predicate, but cannot stand alone as a simple sentence, and it depends on an independent clause to make it complete. Phrase. Phrase is any constituent of a clause. So the head of the phrase is a word that determines the syntactic or phrasal category of that phrase. A dependent of a phrase are all part of the phrase that are not its head. A specifier make the meaning the head more precise. So complement provide further information about the head. Noun phrase. Noun phrase, among other functions, a noun phrase can function in a sentence as a subject, direct object, or indirect object. So a noun phrase can be a single noun or a pronoun or a variety of longer form. Like example, Julian mailed a letter to Julian is a noun phrase, and the subject of the sentence, a letter, is also a noun phrase and function as direct object. So Mary ate the hamburger. So Mary ate the hamburger. So Mary and the hamburgers are noun phrase. So Mary is the subject of the sentence and the hamburger is the direct object. So the girls went to the house. So the girl went to the house, the girl and the house are the noun phrase and the house is indirect object. So this is how we can identify the noun phrase in the sentence. So verb phrase. For verb phrase can tell you something about the subject and include the verb that can include the auxiliary verb, direct or indirect object, and modifier. An English sentence is minimally as follow, like as plus NP and Nguon and plus VP. So we can see intransitive verb can form a verb phrase by themselves. An adjective phrase is headed by an adjective, but might also include an adjective modifier. So verb phrase is modifier of a verb. So verb phrase headed by an adverb and might also include the adverb and an adjective phrase of phrases. So adverb phrase modify verbs in the following way, like frequency, they came every day, duration, the student the student have been coming for the past 5 days. Tim will be here at 3 o'clock. You should do it this way. And Christopher brought his report card home to show it to his father. So prepositional phrase. Prepositional phrase is a phrase that heading by a preposition, and it can function to modify a noun phrase and a verb phrase. So here we can see how we can labeling phrase like subject, noun phrase, auxiliary verb, and verb phrase. So here we can see the function of the labeling phrases. So chapter 6, semantic and pragmatic. So semantic is the study of the meaning of linguistic expressions such as morpheme, word, phrase, clause, sentence, and the two types of semantic are lexical semantic and structural semantic. So we could see the lexical semantic first. So the lexical semantic is the branch of the semantic that deal with the meaning of the words. Reference is the actual concrete item or concept in which the word refer. For example, your dog is barking. Referential meaning of an action describe reference action instead of being, for example, dog is a good pet for a family with the children's comment or image. Sense teachers, he is a teacher of the class, and so it is meaning of the word or phrase that in context classify the reference and yeah. Shifting reference. Shifting reference is the reference that are different from each speaker and each sentences. So pronoun have shifting reference. For example, are you talking morphology with Miss Tan? Or he is the teachers of the class. And semantic property are the element of meaning that make up the lexical entry of the word in the speaker mind. For example, like man, male, and woman, adult, boy, male, and woman, child. Here we can see semantic domain is a set of words and share semantic property. For example, tree, animal, furniture. So distinctive for nature's analysis is the process of analyzing the semantic property of the word. For example, the tree, plant, and track. So we can see so ox, maple, ash, beech, pan, and palm. So they have color plant, and they have the similarity, and also they have the differences as well. And markedness in semantic. So markedness in semantic is the concept that some word morpheme are more common and usual than others. And markedness within domain is is with the chart that phrase that places is more unmarked term and the top of the more marked term of the bottom. So English bias to what words like lions, lioness, prince, princess, and good, goodess. And the name. The name are many words that are similar or related to each other in meaning or in sound. So they are hyponym, synonym, or homonym and antonym. So hyponym are more specific words that contribute subclasses of more general words. So for example, scarlet, orange, hot pink, and pumpkin are derived from color red. So here we can see example like tree, we have evergreen, and the deciders, we have spruce, fir, pine, sanda, aspen, maple, as a type of the tree. And Norway Douglas got in Sen, so it is the, I think this is the family figure that we can see how it divided. So synonym are the words that have a similar meaning and share the same semantic property. They use the synonym or to paraphrase example like women equals lady, adult, female, and human, etc. And homonym examples like towel and towel, bud and bud, flower and flower, rose and flowers and rose, past tense of the right. So it's similar. And polysemous. So polysemous is the word that have more than one meaning. So for example, fish are really smart. So they are always found in the schools, like a grouping of fish. So antonym are the words that are opposite in one of the semantic property. Complementary pair are the antonym that express a binary relationship, like as the word male and female. So here we can understand of those words like credible pair, examples like student, teacher, gift, receive, doctor, and patient. So structural semantic. So we have structural semantic, we have anomalous utterance, contradictions, and metaphor or osmoron and idiom. So they all called abstraction. So let's talk about the pragmatic. It's the study of the effect of content and meaning, like special meaning, code switching, effective meaning of an utterance and speech arts. So the force of the language, we have performative sentence, this cause analysis. We have these 6 presupposition, creating visual. Maximum of conversation, we have like this. We have some example like say only what is appropriate of the topic, like hi, how are you? Terrible, my car broke down. My parents are mad at me, and I have have the flu too. Example. So maximum of quantity, a maximum of quality, and maxims of relevance and maxims of manner. So let's talk about the chapter 7, sociolinguistic and linguistic anthropology. Sociolinguistic is the study of how the language and social factors such as ethnicity, social class, age, gender, and educational level are related. Linguistic anthropology is a branch of anthropology that focuses on, among other things, how language influences thought and experience. Linguistic anthropology used to use the morphology of linguistics to study the interrelationship between language and culture. Chapter 8, language acquisitions. So language and the brain. So just as in the equation of acquisition of phonology and morphonology, the acquisition of semantic follow universal principle that guide the child in sorting out the meaning of the word. So first of all, children assume that an identifying word applies to the whole subject, not its part or attribute. So with the word cat or wax, children assume that the word applies to the whole animal, not body part, color, or texture. So when talk about the children and their brain, they think in overall, they don't know how to identify the word clearly and how to classify that word. And acquisition of syntax in children from 5 to 10. So Carol Kromnitsky Varnomaski did the research in the language acquisition in school-age children, investigating for semantic construction that assumed to be only slowly acquired after the age of 5 because of their linguistic complexity. So you design sentences with no semantic rules, no semantic clues about the children had to interpret according to their understanding of syntax. She chose construction that had at least one condition, making it difficult to understand. So that condition might be an exception and general pattern of the language, or it might be a restriction that operates in some circumstances but not others. So let's talk about chapter 9, the science of the language. The science of the language is a human using activity for creating idea for communication and so the other. Sorry. So sign language sign language is based on variations in several patterns. So this include hand stops, location of sign, movement, and the sign's palm orientation. So this is all the chapter 1 from chapter 9. And thank you so much, teacher, and thank you everyone.